Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. Today I came across a news about a ransomware attack on a supply chain provider which has caused major disruption. So the attack which caused this disruption, right, that not only affected that particular supply chain provider but also the other companies in the supply chain which were dependent on its services. So let's get started. Let's have a background of this attack and its impact. The attacker initially compromised by gaining access to the supply chain provider system through a vulnerability in their software. And after that, they encrypted their data and make it inaccessible for the provider itself. And then the attacker demanded a ransom payment in exchange of decrypting the stolen data. So it's a very common method through which they acted, and the entry point was the vulnerable software. And the company which is affected in this case is Kenyan International Emergency Services. Now, this is an emergency service provider company, and this company specializes in providing critical emergency services to various sectors. And this company has a very global reach, global presence, providing services to clients across the different continent. Now, you can imagine in a supply chain, if a supply like this is interrupted, it's not this disruption is not limited to the supplier only. All the other vendors or the stakeholders, other companies which are dependent on this supplier, will also get affected. Now let's see the reach of this ransomware which has disrupted the supply chain. So first of all, as I said, it disrupted the operation. This attack caused a very widespread disruption to the supply chain provider operations, impacting their ability to deliver any essential services. And this has also resulted in financial losses, where they have to pay the ransom to the ransomware organization whichever has demanded it. They lost the revenue, the operational cost, and of course they had a very big reputational damage which eroded the trust of its customer within the company. Now let's see some of the cybersecurity concern for supply chain provider. The first one is the increased risk, where supply chain providers are increasingly becoming vulnerable to cyber attacks, as they are often targeted due to their critical role in the economy. Now, data security is another concern, and that's why we always recommend that a supply chain provider, or be it any company, like, make data security your priority one, because without that you are always putting your company, your entire like work of many years at risk. And here, as in this case scenario, vulnerability management was proved to be critical, because if they would have taken vulnerability management as a priority, regularly have updated the patch with a right process with due diligence, this attack was supposed to be prevented. Let's see some of the lessons which were learned with the case study of this particular supply chain attack, that how effective it is and what we can do about these things. So the first thing is, of course, proactive security. So we should not wait that okay, something should happen and then we will correct it. We should always be proactive, have our processes in right, so that we are always in a mode of prevention and no attacks are supposed to happen, or their likelihood of realization is always less. Next is security awareness training. Now, as we know that cybersecurity is not leadership or IT team or cybersecurity team's responsibility. It's everyone's responsibility, and how to fulfill that responsibility they can be only told through a cyber awareness training. And of course, the last one is incident response plan, that whenever a situation like this happens, how much readiness the company has to respond to such security incidents. So those preparedness can always minimize the risk of finance or reputation loss. Some of the recommendation I'm giving here for mitigating ransomware threat. The first is, always make sure to implement multi-factor authentication. Train employee to use the best practices. Regularly update the software and the security patches through a cycle and through a very strong vulnerability management program. Always conduct regular security audits or assessments. They are not one-time activities. Always keep a second copy at a different geographical location of your critical data. And the last one is to establish very strong password policies. Now, in the last, I would say three things here, that cybersecurity investment are key to any company today, and it's not a mandate or a compliance, it's your business need. The next is supply chain security. It's very crucial to protect the critical infrastructure and ensuring business continuity. And the last one is collaboration and partnership between the government agencies, industry leader, and the cybersecurity expert is essential for addressing these challenges.